Yeah, I'll let Tegan explain that in a minute. Um, when I was referring to comforts, the conversation Lena and I were having earlier is we were we're both we're like I'm in a position where I'm on food stamps. Um, Sometimes I sell those food stamps or some of those food stamps, which is illegal, for money because I need more money. Um, and we have Lena and I have a mutual acquaintance that is trying to get disability for depression essentially, and that sort of thing kind of pisses both of us off. Uh, and also things like seeing someone on welfare with $100 sneakers and a brand new TV, driving a fancy car,
With
things
an
like
iPhone.
yeah, with an iPhone, like
What are your priorities? That's what I mean about comfort. You don't need those things to survive. It's just kind of what we've been led to believe that we should have. And it's as simple as that. And it's
right,
those things that don't really matter in your life.
right,
I feel like there's an overall unappreciation of what we do have. And that really, I think, is what needs to be looked at as a whole.
and um, for me, like yeah, I agree with Lena. Like um, I think that everyone, like no one should be screwed out of the basic needs. We have enough resources in this country that there are certain things that aren't basic needs that we should be able to spread the wealth and make happen, like a decent education for everyone or an advanced education for everyone. There's no reason with the wealth in this country why everyone shouldn't be able to go to college at minimal cost, and why the colleges shouldn't be exceptional colleges, every single one of them. There's no reason why we can't do that. There's really no reason to have to pay for electricity at this point. We have enough wealth in this country; it should be able to be spread out.
Word.
But things like an iPhone and a brand new TV,
We use so much of it too.
yeah,
We're
those,
wasteful.
yeah, well, things like that. I mean, like that's shit you should have to work for. If you're on welfare, you should not be getting so much welfare that you have the luxury of having those things. You know, if you're disabled, that's one thing, but if you're only getting welfare because you're not working, that's people should be prompted to work for what they want, not what they need, but what they want. I think that's kind of where Lena and I were both coming from on that. Anyway, before we move on from anything else, I really want Tegan to explain who moved my cheese, because yeah.
Well, my boss gave it to me because I was complaining the other day about a change we made in the system of how we do things, which wasn't a major change, and really I shouldn't have been complaining. But she gave me this book to read called Who Moved My Cheese, and it is about two mice and two little people in a maze, and the mice run off of instinct, the little people run off of being intellectual, being able to think. Um, when they find a big supply of cheese, they move closer to it. When the cheese is gone, the mice move on and the people are left to complain and whine, and they end up going hungry and getting angry and basically doing what people do when faced with change or lack of resources. Instead of moving on to other things, they kind of just focus on what they lost.
And the mice went on to find more cheese.
And the mice did go on to find more cheese.
So what I'm saying about who moved my cheese,
But I'm only
is
halfway through it, so.
the people that are afraid of changing the system just need to understand that their cheese has been moved, and they will do much better if they go looking for that cheese than complaining about the cheese being moved.
Well, yeah, some of the things that you've mentioned, we are the last civilized, I guess you can use that term a little bit loosely at this point, but the last civilized country in the world to not have a universal health care program, to not grant schooling to everyone, because all of us knowing more, being smarter, generally positively affects everything, including the workforce.
We're an exceptionally country because of that. I'd like to point out. Right
exceptionally
there.
What?
Exceptionally dumb country because of that. When you compare us to Japan.
And absolutely. And because of what the the current, I don't know, the current political landscape is based on a fallacy, in my opinion, which is that people are simply one of two extreme ways, and I just think that that's kind of ludicrous. But I can only say that because I don't subscribe to that. But there are a lot of people who have spent a lifetime involved with one side or the other, so it's become ingrained. And those who are on one of those sides seem to watch TV for their news, and they watch Fox in particular. So, to some of us that don't watch Fox because we like comedy to be called comedy, not to be called news, it seems like the people that watch Fox are continually getting brainwashed. But I lately have been thinking that perhaps they watch it because they're getting a message reinforced that they already believe in, and that's a tough nut to crack, to say that there are people that do genuinely have a distrust of a president because he's black or because he has a D next to his name, as opposed to because he's a mass murderer that's killing Americans based on words, and because he feels like it, and that's got the largest national defense budget of any president in history, and is arguably the most pro-war president we've ever had. None of that matters because Fox said he's a socialist. And the things that we're talking about nationalizing healthcare and education, really make people that I'm talking about now uneasy. And I think it's a misunderstanding of what socialism means and what democracy means, because to have a true thriving democracy, one would have to have elements of lots of different types of organized society. And we don't seem to have a problem with firefighters being a socialized part of society. We seem to think that it's a good idea that if your house is on fire, someone just shows up, as opposed to other ways that have been used, where you have to have a certain symbol on your house, and then these people will come put out your fire because you've been giving them money, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I guess what I'm asking is, like, those of us that are level-headed, that want to find constructive ways to improve our society and want to have certain things socialized, how do we continue this movement, this Occupy movement, towards that positive end without having a certain segment of our population automatically put themselves in a counter position to that? How do we bring them along? How do we make them understand that this is about them too?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would like to point out is the illusion that we're a democracy. America's never been a democracy, not once. We're a representative republic, and I think that while I personally believe in a lot about the way the country was set up, I would like to see communities operate on a smaller level, so we can, so the programs that we do socialize can be done so effectively. I would like to see more things run on like the same structure, like each state gets the same basic laws to govern these socialized principles, so that each state is doing the same thing, but then leave it up to the state to enforce and mandate that, and let the federal government exist for, solely for the protection of the people, and just making sure that interstate dialogues are going on, just kind of making sure that all the states are doing their jobs. I would like to see something delegated more like that.